Are you aware that the judge said the case has its genesis in an ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children? This court and others regularly send undocumented people to prison and orders them deported, but do so by proper legal procedures. Are you aware of that?
Yes, and I would disagree with the judge on several points.
I'm sure you would, but can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
Father chose to.
Can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
If I have what?
A law degree.
No, I do not have a law degree.
And you do understand, because I can go through a bunch of court cases and orders that I disagree with from the Supreme Court, that ultimately that is the order of the court. That is what you follow, and if you have an issue, you appeal it up, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The court went on to say, apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence.
The case has its genesis in an ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children. Apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence. That's not a Democratic congresswoman speaking. That's not a liberal activist. That's a federal judge. A federal judge writing an official court order about the Department of Homeland Security under Secretary Kristi Noem's leadership. The same judge who then quoted Thomas Jefferson's grievances against King George III and applied them directly to ICE operations. He has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. Who was that judge talking about? ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Who runs IC? The Department of Homeland Security. Who runs Homeland Security? The woman sitting at that witness table in front of the House Oversight Committee, Kristi Noem. And 5 minutes ago, Representative Jasmine Crockett read that judge's order out loud, line by line, while Noem sat there unable to do anything except admit she disagreed with it. Then Crockett asked one simple question that made the entire exchange go viral within minutes. Can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree? Noem's answer? No, I do not have a law degree. What happened in that hearing room wasn't a normal policy disagreement. It wasn't partisan theater. It was a systematic dismantling of a cabinet secretary's credibility by a congresswoman who came prepared with court orders, outbreak reports, and receipts showing that Homeland Security under Noem has lost more lives in detention than any previous administration. And the way Crockett did it, controlled, precise, relentless, made it impossible for Noem to escape. Let's break down exactly what happened and why this exchange is being called one of the most devastating moments of congressional oversight in recent memory. The hearing had been going for hours. Standard questions, prepared answers, talking points about border security. Then Jasmine Crockett got her 5 minutes. Everything changed. She started casually. Madam Secretary, you are almost to the end, so congratulations. The tone suggested routine questions. Anyone who's watched Crockett knew better. That opening was strategic. Lower the guard, then strike. And strike she did. Are you aware that the law makes it clear that members of Congress are allowed to enter any detention facility at any point in time? Noem gave a careful answer. Yes, I'm aware of the visitation and oversight responsibility, and we work every day to accommodate members while taking into account safety. Notice the language. Accommodate. Safety. Diplomatic phrasing suggesting cooperation while maintaining control. Crockett cut through. I'm not asking about litigation. I'm asking what the law is. Then the trap. There's an appropriations rider about congressional access. Appropriations are law. You're asking us to appropriate dollars for DHS. Correct? Correct. And if we do that, you would take that as law. Correct. Correct. Crockett had gotten Noem to confirm on record that appropriations are law, and DHS must follow them. Now came the kill shot. Yet somehow, myself and another colleague, Congressman Castro, we ended up giving a 7-day notice to the Dilley detention facility because I had actually already gone to El Paso before. And when I went to that facility and I asked them why it was that they were requiring me to do something that specifically my branch of government had dictated was not required, they said it was because of you. The room shifted. This wasn't theoretical anymore. This was Crockett describing being personally blocked from conducting oversight at a detention facility. And she was about to make Noem own it. They said you were the one that said that they were not allowed to allow us entry unless we gave a 7-day heads up. Is that true? Noem tried to deflect. The law specifically states oversight and visitations. Crockett interrupted. Did you give the instruction that members must give a 7-day heads up or not? We had a policy in place. Were you the one that ordered that policy? I have a responsibility for ensuring everybody in that facility is safe. No, but that's not my question. Crockett reclaimed her time. Then she explained exactly why Noem's safety excuse was garbage. The reason I'm talking to you about this policy and you're talking to me about safety is because I did go into the Dilley detention facility. And let me tell you, they're not safe. This is why we need to conduct oversight. Because your people continue. In fact, you have lost more lives in detention than anybody else. That is your record right now. The accusation landed like a bomb. More lives in detention than anybody else. Not just some lives. Not just unfortunate incidents. More than any other Homeland Security secretary. That's Noem's record. So I don't expect y'all are going to be best to keep them safe. This is why we are supposed to conduct oversight and not wait for you to give permission. After I left the Dilley facility, we were informed of a measles outbreak. A measles outbreak. At a facility Noem blocked oversight for citing safety. Are you the one that ordered it reopened? Because that facility was closed under Joe Biden. Noem tried dodging. Those facilities were opened with the new administration. You're part of the new administration. Were you the one that ordered it open? I wasn't sworn in until 5 days after it reopened in March. Well, then I'm sure that contract was renewed while I was secretary. Pattern established. Noem blocked oversight at a facility with more deaths than any previous administration, that had a measles outbreak, that Noem kept open after Biden closed it. But Crockett wasn't finished. She'd been building to something bigger. Let me continue on this line of y'all breaking the law. Are you familiar with a child by the name of Liam Ramos? I am. Liam was at this Dilley facility, and it just so happened we'd put in our 7-day notice, and y'all grabbed him 6 days prior to our visit, so we were able to visit Liam. Damning timeline. DHS detained Liam 6 days before Crockett's scheduled visit. Convenient. Are you aware of the court order that came down that released Liam from custody? I am. Now came the moment that would go viral. Crockett began reading directly from the federal judge's order. And are you aware that the judge said the case has its genesis in an ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children? Read that again. A federal judge wrote that Homeland Security was pursuing daily deportation quotas, even if it meant traumatizing children, and described the government's actions as ill-conceived and incompetently implemented. Crockett continued reading. This court and others regularly send undocumented people to prison and order them deported, but do so by proper legal procedures. Are you aware of that? Yes, and I would disagree with the judge. I'm sure you would. Crockett cut her off immediately. Then came the question that would define the exchange. Can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree? Noem hesitated. If I have what? A law degree. No, I do not have a law degree. A cabinet secretary responsible for law enforcement admitting no legal training while disagreeing with a federal judge's interpretation of law. Crockett drove it home. And you understand that ultimately that is the order of the court. That is what you follow. And if you have an issue, you appeal it up. Correct. That is correct. Hierarchy established. Courts issue orders. Executive branch follows them. You don't ignore rulings because you think you know better than judges, despite having no legal training. But Crockett had one more section of the judge's order. The court went on to say, apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson enumerated grievances against a would-be authoritarian king. Among others, he has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. Crockett paused. Are you aware that he wrote that? The judge? Yes. Yes. Do you know that he was writing about ICE that falls under you? Yes. A federal judge compared ICE operations under Noem's leadership to King George III's tyranny that sparked the revolution. Explicitly. Okay, with that, I will yield. But before yielding, Crockett submitted 2 documents to the record: ICE training records corroborating whistleblower claims from the Washington Post, and a CNN report about FEMA's flood response being slowed by Noem's cost controls. Both were entered without objection. The exchange was over. 5 minutes documenting a policy blocking congressional oversight that violates law Noem confirmed she must follow. More detention deaths under Noem than any previous secretary. A measles outbreak at a facility Noem claimed was safe. A facility closed under Biden, reopened under Noem. Liam Ramos, where a federal judge ruled DHS pursued deportation quotas at the expense of traumatizing children. That judge comparing ICE to King George III's tyranny. A cabinet secretary with no law degree disagreeing with federal judges. All on record, all documented, all on video. The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded. The law degree question went viral first, but then people watched the full 5 minutes and realized how methodical it had been. This wasn't shouting or drama. This was preparation. Crockett came with receipts, court orders, outbreak reports, specific cases with names and dates. She used every second to build a prosecutorial case. What made it so effective was the structure. Crockett didn't start with accusations. She started by getting Noem to confirm basic facts. Appropriations are law. Oversight is required. Safety is important. Then she used those confirmed facts against Noem. Every time Noem tried to widen the answer, talk about safety protocols, explain policies, Crockett narrowed it back down. Yes or no? Did you order it? Did you change the policy? Do you have a law degree? The law degree question particularly resonated because it crystallized the entire dynamic. Here's a cabinet secretary responsible for enforcing immigration law, disagreeing with federal judges about proper legal procedure while having no legal training herself. It's not that you need a law degree to be Homeland Security Secretary, but if you're going to publicly disagree with federal judges about legal interpretations while running an agency that multiple courts have rebuked, and you have no legal training, you'd better have a really good explanation. Noem didn't. She just had "I would disagree with the judge." The broader impact, Crockett established several things that will follow Noem. Congressional oversight at detention facilities is being illegally blocked, not delayed, blocked in violation of law. Detention deaths under Noem's leadership exceed previous administrations. That's now on congressional record. Federal judges are comparing Homeland Security operations to tyranny, not activists. Federal judges in official court orders. And Noem's response: disagree with judges despite having no legal training. Claim safety justifies blocking oversight at facilities with measles outbreaks. The documents Crockett entered, whistleblower corroboration, and the FEMA cost control report suggest this is just beginning. More oversight, more documentation, more questions. What made this go viral isn't partisan politics. It's that Crockett articulated frustration people feel about detention facilities being off limits while conditions deteriorate, about court orders being ignored, about officials claiming control while outbreaks happen and people die. She documented it with specifics: Liam Ramos, Dilley facility, measles outbreak, federal judge's order, detention death rate, and she did it while maintaining complete control. Every time Noem tried to redirect, Crockett pulled it back. Every time Noem tried to generalize, Crockett made it specific. That's why comment sections flooded with praise. People didn't see policy disagreement. They saw accountability. A congresswoman doing what oversight is supposed to do, forcing cabinet officials to answer for decisions and results. Whether you agree with Crockett's politics or not, one thing is undeniable: she dictated the pace and terms of that exchange from beginning to end. This wasn't just another hearing clip. It was a masterclass in congressional oversight. Subscribe because Crockett established illegal oversight blocking and record detention deaths. This is far from over. Share this everywhere because a cabinet secretary got caught blocking lawful oversight while federal judges compare her agency to King George III's tyranny. Thanks for watching.